Welcome back to episode 3 of Sequence 78. We're very excited to present to you our third episode. We've got the band back together. We have some similar segments. We have Yosef coming up on sports. Hopefully, Yosef, you're prepared for that as well. And Jayola is taking over the interview segment this week, sitting down with Thomas O'Brien from the Creator Economy. Stay tuned. We're very excited for this one.
Yeah. We're live.
Hello everyone, my name is Jayola, and today we have a special guest today. Would you like to introduce yourself today?
Yes. Hi. My name is Thomas O'Brien.
First, what do you do, Thomas? Like, what do you do, like, on a daily basis? Like
What do I do on a daily basis?
Yeah.
I wake up, get my coffee, get my breakfast. No, you're asking what I do for work.
Yeah, bro.
Okay, my bad. I work at Syracuse University. I am employee number 1 for the nation's first Center for the Creator Economy, building out the first academic resource center focused on social media, content creation, and the various revenue streams that exist within that industry. So, yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, that's tough.
appreciate you, bro.
It's tough. So for those that may not know, Thomas graduated from Syracuse. And so I'd love to start by asking you, what did you study and why you studied it?
Yeah, I studied film in the College of Visual and Performing Arts, so it's like the art school at Syracuse.
Okay.
Started with film because it was my dream to be a filmmaker. It still is. I love the storytelling aspect of film. I've always been inspired by filmmakers in particular. And yeah, I didn't have any plans of going into social media or entrepreneurship or any of that. It was just like a simple love for picking up my camera and telling stories. So that's kind of how it all began.
All right, cool. Sounds tough. Give me your background, and you recently just graduated. What does the creator economy mean to you personally?
Great question. I don't know. I think the creator economy to me. That's actually a great question. What does it mean to me? I think it means opportunity. It's a very cool time to be a creative. The creator economy, by virtue of it being accessible to anybody, means that the barrier to entry is much smaller. Like there was a time where if you were interested in films or you wanted to, create your own whatever, you'd have to go through a studio, or you didn't have access to your own camera, or it was just too inaccessible to be a creator. And now everybody is a creator, and everybody has the ability to tell their own story and put out their own message. And I just think that's really awesome. And I think we're in a point with the creator economy where it's maturing to a point where it's kind of like everywhere now.
Yes.
And there's just so many different ways that you can explore this industry, and what that means is there's so much room for anyone, any individual, to find success, and there's so many different platforms to choose from, so many different strategies to pursue. So it's really a space full of opportunity and full of expression, and I've come to really fall in love with it. I mean, it's just so interesting to think about, like, when I was a freshman in VPA film, if I had told them at the time that my senior thesis was going to be like a social media campaign where I was like acting in it, they would have been like, no, like that's just not going to be happening. And that by the time I was graduating in 2025, 4 years later, they were all asking me questions. The people who would have said no were then asking me, how are you doing this? What are you noticing? What's working? What's not? So very, very rapidly expanding, and it's definitely a cool time to be a part of it.
Nah, that's tough. I love creators. I love creators, especially because the fact that, like, they're just doing their own thing, having fun, living life.
Part of it is having fun, yeah.
Yeah. And so for those who may not know, Syracuse actually have a Center for the Creator Economy. Could you tell us more about the purpose of the center and what do you hope to have students come out from it and whatnot?
Yeah. I mean, it's very interesting to be a part of building it right now, because I don't think that I think what it will be when it's fully said and done is something that we've never seen before and higher education has never seen before. But right now, my goal is building the brand of CCE. And what that kind of means, there's two faces to that. The first is like the on-campus brand. So like how are students interacting with it? How are students talking about it? Are students saying things that are positive? That's always the goal. And I think the strategy that I'm pursuing to do that is by creating, a community on campus full of passionate creatives that are all working towards the same thing. You've been in the room. Having inclusive conversations and conversations about growth and conversations about collaboration, really by virtue, as a student, by virtue of just being in that room around all those people that are like-minded and trying to pursue the same thing as you, there's so much value.
Yes.
Opportunities to learn, opportunities to collab. It's really great. And I think that, for the students that have been a part of it and have felt it and have experienced it, I think they feel the same way, it seems like. And I'm obviously not the usual Syracuse University hire. I mean, I'm like 15 years younger than everybody else that I'm in meetings with. But I kind of look at that as a blessing because, I mean, everybody who's making this show right now, I mean, you guys are my peers. I have more in common with you guys than the people that I work with. And honestly, that excites me. And it makes my job very enjoyable to meet my peers and to learn about what they're building, what they're working on, because I'm entering the same industry at the same time as you guys. So really enjoy that aspect of it. And then on the other side of things, so that's like the on-campus brand, the community. Then there's also the digital brand, and that's very exciting and very innovative. So we're working on right now creating a Syracuse University creator crew. So the same way, you got Syracuse basketball, you got Syracuse football, now you're going to have Syracuse Creator Crew, and that's going to be like the starting lineup of content creators on campus who are helping build out of course, like the content that the Center for the Creator Economy is posting, but also they're going to be getting paid to build out their own personal brands, which is really amazing that a university is empowering students to make content and build their own brands, start their own businesses, and they're going to get paid to do it. And a lot of the content that is coming out of the Center for the Creator Economy is going to be collaborative in nature, a lot of collab posts. One of the job positions for the creator crew is an on-camera personality. So literally every video that they're going to work on and get paid for is going to end up getting collabed with their personal brand. And so this is sort of a team that's going to get built out and evolve over time. And right now we're in a situation where the personal brands of the CCE community, when I say CCE, I mean Center for the Creator Economy, it's the brands of the CCE community that are going to have to build up the Center for the Creator Economy brand. But one day in the future, the Center for the Creator Economy brand will be strong enough, large enough, have a big enough following where it's that brand that's then building up the personal brands of the people that are in it. So, and I think that's like a 2, 3, 4 year timeline. I mean, we have some shows that we're going to be making that we're super excited about and that involve sending students on micro internship opportunities to film. We have some segments that involve, alums that are coming in to get interviewed. So a lot of connections, a lot of opportunity, and, it'll be cool when CCE's Instagram is the most followed Syracuse account at the university. So that's the goal, at least.
You heard that. Lock in.
Be ready for it.
Yeah, be ready. So for students that want to actually become a part of this, get more familiar with this, what should they do? Like, what should they do?
Yeah. Room 254 in Newhouse 3. That is our Center for the Creator Economy. We're working out of that space now. We have workshops, CCE drop-ins. We're working on bringing in some panel discussions where we have Tim Schlittner, who's the Director of Communications at the NFL. He's going to be coming to campus on February 13th, so you heard it here first. And yeah, we're going to be updating pretty much our Instagram. That's probably the best way to stay up to date with everything that's going on in and out of the center. And I mean, I'm always available. My email is tobrie03@syr.edu. Maybe you could put it on the screen with some sparkles or something. That'd be awesome. But yeah, I mean, getting in touch with me. You can DM me too. Always happy to talk. Always happy to give advice. One thing that I hear a lot of students say is I'm trying to get started. The best way to try and get started is get rid of the try and just get started and start making videos. And I think once you're making videos and once you're, putting yourself out there, you'll realize the type of resource CCE really is. So, does that answer your question? I think so. Yeah.
No, it does.
Just tap in with the
Thanks.
Instagram, tap in with me. Happy to talk.
So my final question, you kind of answered in the last question,
The
but
final one.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Man, we're gonna have to add a segment or something like a trivia. Does Jay Ola ever get asked questions? Jay Ola, how are you doing today, man?
Today's going very good today, actually. I'm here talking to you, learning more how to be a creative. Me trying to be a creative myself, I'm thinking to myself, like, this the guy I want to be with. This the guy I'm trying to learn from, actually. So,
Appreciate that.
yeah, anytime,
I got
bro.
a lot to learn from you too, Jay Ola.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
All about swag. I don't know enough about swag compared to Jay Ola when I'm sitting next to him. My goodness.
You.
I got you, bro. No doubt.
Yeah, the final question is, if you can speak to a creative or whatnot, I know you kind of answered in the last question. What is some advice for them to, like, honestly, like, just get out their shell and whatnot? I know you said just start, but is there something else you can add on to, I don't know, help them out and whatnot?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and it kind of goes under that same umbrella of just get started. I really think that's like the fundamental thought you should have when you're beginning your creator career. I would say, I think a lot of people try to have like the ultimate end goal picture figured out before they've posted one video, and that's really just kind of a waste of time in the nicest way possible, because once you start posting, your things are going to happen that you just can't foresee. You might have an idea of what audience you intend to engage with, but you might end up falling into an entirely different niche, which is going to change, the trajectory of the type of content you're making and how your account's going to grow. So really just like get rid of as many expectations as you can, and definitely don't go into this for like the fame or for like, because we're at the point now where like, you have people who have 700,000 followers making less than people with like 20K who have a really solid audience and fan base that keeps coming back to them. So it's not even, and it's not even about money either per se. It's just more about like making the content that you want to make, expressing yourself in the way that you want to express yourself. And we were just talking about this before we started rolling, but like, people are going to call you crazy until they're the ones asking you questions.
Yes.
They're sure, like, you might post a video and your first video gets 5 likes, whatever. Someone's going to see it. We all have that one person that just like doesn't really have it, have our best interest in mind. They're going to see that. They're going to be like, bro, like, this is so lame, like 5 likes, like they'll never do anything cool. And then all of a sudden when you're popping and like, and it's not even like popping, like you're going viral, but you just like have gotten better at making content and you've gotten better at engaging your audience, like they're going to wish that they weren't hating and that they were with you doing it, like, and I've seen it happen over and over and over. And it's just like, what's so great about the creator economy is really anyone could do it. And if you're someone who is looking at somebody chasing their dreams and you're hating, man, you got to ask yourself some real life questions, because that could be you. And there's a reason why you're not, right? So let it be you. Stop the hate, start the love. Yeah, that's really what I would say. And I also think, like, at the end of the day, does any of it really matter? Like, I know that's such a cliche thing to say, but especially when it comes to content, social media, it's so easy to put like so much weight on all of it and, like think that it matters so much, but it really doesn't. TikTok could literally be gone at some point. We could wake up one day and any of these platforms at any moment could just be off the web. It's really just about the journey, and meeting as many people as you can. I used to think that I don't even think it used to be in the creator economy that your value was how many people knew you, how many followers did you have, how many people know like what you're doing, whatever. And that's still a metric. It's still important, but I think increasingly it's becoming more important and more valuable, the question of how many people do you know? Not just how many people know you, but how many people do you know? How many people could you meet up with like this and make a project like this? And how many people could you, how many people in New York City do you know, like, look, I need to crash, or LA, I need to crash, I got something going on, where can I stay? Like, that's real value, that's real community. And at the end of the day, I think that is probably the best part and most important part of the creator economy, is who you're going to meet and who you're going to create towards. And what's better than those two things.
Nah, that's tough. Nah, thank you. Nah, I really appreciate you too for coming
You're
on the show.
you're so welcome.
Nah.
And special thanks to everybody. I don't know if this camera right here, could you just do like a turnaround, or is that not allowed? Of like all these people that are like putting this together. This is like cool to be a part of and cool to see. I don't know if this will make the edit. I think the director's kind of looking at me like, I don't know about this bit, but seriously, like, thank you guys for having me. This is really cool what you guys are working on, so I'm happy to help in any way.
Rolling.
Sound is speeding.
Can you slow that down, please? This is
28-1.
'Welcome back, everybody, to Sequence 78 Sports Edition. Tonight, Joe and Joey are going to be debating. Joey, do you think the pitch clock is an improvement on baseball, or it's not?
Yeah, absolutely, Joseph. I mean, the pitch clock, I think, has made for a really enjoyable, not just ballpark experience, but also an at-home watching experience. I think that's made the game a lot better for a lot of audiences. Now, I am admittedly a baseball purist. I was very against the shot clock or the pitch clock when it was being introduced, but having now had it for a few years, I think it's been a wonderful addition to the game. Although I do think we can maybe tweak the rules a little bit more come playoff time. But what do you think, Joey?
I love that. I'm in the same headspace as you there, Joe. Big purist myself, was very against it. Obviously, it was a Manfred move, and Manfred's the big bad commissioner, so everybody likes to go against what he does, and he's done a lot of questionable moves so far to the game of baseball, but I think this was a step in the right direction for sure, especially with an underrated aspect in sports right now is attention spans, and for trying to get younger fans and more audiences into the game of baseball, it's just not a great model to have people sit there for 4 or 5 hours and try to watch a game on TV, where he shaved game times to almost an hour, hour and a half down now, where it's like a 3.5 hour, sometimes even 3 hours, less than 3 hour games. So I think it's been a great model. I do agree, like come playoffs, I'd like to see some tweaks that could be interesting, especially with making managers more strategic in playoff time, but I think it's been a great change.
Now, do you guys think Mike Trout is the best player of his generation?
I mean, it's hard to say he's not. I mean, off the top of my head, the only thing I can maybe compare him is Miguel Cabrera. I mean, that triple crown that he had that took that MVP from Trout. I mean, even a dark horse guy, you could even throw in Jose Altuve. I mean, he had a really underrated 2010s, couple of rings with the Astros. I mean, I know some people might think that's unethical, but I think it's hard to go against Mike Trout. He's a modern-day Mickey Mantle. Like, if the guy was healthy, I think he's the top 2 outfielder ever in Major League Baseball. So it's really hard to say that he's not the best player of this generation.
Yeah, Joey, again, on the same wavelength in terms of, Mike Trout, just such a great player. And I'm right with you. I mean, if those injuries never happened, if he was able to give us 150 games every year, I mean, we would be talking about arguably the greatest person to ever play this game, arguably the greatest athlete to ever touch a baseball. Unfortunately, that's not what we got. Although what I found really interesting, Joey, is when you said that the only contender would be Miguel Cabrera, that's not where I thought you were going to go. I would have thought you would have said Clayton Kershaw.
Okay.
Because to me, I think, and again, like, generation is a little bit a difficult kind of thing to describe, but I think even though right now they're playing at the same time, right, we talked about this before the show, Mike Trout's generation is different than Aaron Judge's generation. Mike Trout is in there, with like Bryce Harper in them, and I think Clayton Kershaw, I mean, by far the best pitcher of that generation. And I mean, you talk about the longevity in the playoff. Despite the playoff issues, I mean, he's gotten some jewelry on his hands for sure. But I mean, I actually found it really interesting that you picked Miguel Cabrera.
Well, here's where I raise you with the Kershaw debate. I think it's more valuable to have a guy like Trout. Like, obviously, he's a big what if, but your center fielder's on the field every day. With a guy like Clayton Kershaw, he's pitching 1 in every 5 days. So, yes, he might have been the best pitcher of that generation. And I think the stats back it up. He's definitely up there. It's got to be him or Verlander in that generation. But what's your take on, is he just as valuable as Trout, even though he's on the field much less?
No, I mean, I'm also with you generally with the. Like, if you have a player giving you, let's say, X amount of WAR, let's say he's giving you 4 WAR, I'd much rather that guy be a position player than a pitcher, because he is going to be out there more often. He's going to be giving you chances to win more often. But I found it interesting, again, though, with, that was kind of the route you took to defend that pick. But your secondary pick was Miguel Cabrera, who for most of the 2010s played first base and was not a particularly great one.
No. I think the bat really carried his career,
Yes.
though. I mean, the bat, he's a 98th percentile bat in your
Yeah.
lineup. I mean, you can't replicate that production, especially in that era. That was before, like, the big launch ankle. That was before the baseballs got a little more flight off the bat, before they changed how they seamed the balls and all that. So I think it was very hard to replicate that production. You had a guy hitting above 320 with, 35, 40 home runs, leading the league in RBIs. I think that's kind of where my headspace was at for Miguel Cabrera, maybe potentially being in that conversation. I mean, he's a first-ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, you could even throw the back end of Albert Pujols' career back there. He's a very similar argument to Miguel Cabrera, but I think that's back to what you were saying earlier with the generation gap. It's sort of like, where do you want to start the generation debate?
All right, guys. And what's your guys' take on, should the MLB eliminate arbitration?
This might be a bit of a hot take, but I don't think so. I actually think arbitration is honestly, I think it's a really interesting way to approach the issue of younger players' salaries. Now, granted, baseball is different than every other professional sport in the sense of when you get in that organization, you get drafted, you're not going straight to the big leagues. It's going to take a long time for most guys to get there. Most guys don't get there. So it's a little bit different to compare it to, say, like an NBA rookie contract, where you have that 2+2, and then, they get the restricted rights on you. So really you're there for, 4 to 8 years, say you're an NBA first-round draft pick, whereas currently with Major League Baseball, you don't see free agency until your 6th year of Major League Baseball, not just pro baseball. So, I think arbitration is actually really interesting because it is a lot more based on the value you're providing to your team and on the field rather than, the hypotheticals of what you could be worth. Although I do think that arbitration could perhaps come in earlier. I think that the auto-renew years should maybe come down from 3 to 2. And if you make that change, you could even go a little bit further, maybe even get rid of that last year to 5 years of team control. But I actually don't have a problem with arbitration, and I think that the way that we see both sides of, the owners and the Players Association moving, I think it's probably like the least hostile we'll get from here.
I think so, too. I mean, obviously the chirps about the lockout, that's just crazy to even think about being a possibility. But I couldn't agree more with you there. It sucks we're not really, against each other so far in this debate. But I think arbitration, especially in the building off of that, where teams are getting really mad at, the Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, for using their wealthy owners and basically buying teams instead of maybe using the farm and developing their guys. I think arbitration gives teams a route, those smaller market teams, to keep these superstars, make their needs met, and to give them control and maybe even bid higher than what they would get on the free agency market when they come to that court ruling, when they have to figure out those deals. And it gives them more control of that guy, per se. I think Bobby Witt Jr. is a great example with the Royals. He's on track for a Hall of Fame career. The Royals were kind of in the middle of the pack in the AL Central until he got there. And now they're potentially competing for that division every year with him being their guy. And through arbitration, they locked him down for another 10 years. And even jumping with the Royals even more, they just picked up Cole Reagans, too. Yeah. Stud left-handed arm. He's a guy that he's going to be at the front of their rotation for a while. So I think for teams like the Royals, maybe teams like the Pirates, we're going to see what they're going to have to do with Skeens coming up. That's going to be a really big discussion.
That's going to be egregious.
Especially the Reds, too. A lot of those teams you kind of think in those AL, NL Central, where they aren't at the bottom of the barrel in terms of market, but they're not at the top upper echelon compared to LA, New York, Philly, teams like that. It gives them a way to stay competitive in a legal way, too.
Yeah, I think that that's also a good way to frame that argument as well when talking about those teams who are not the big markets. Like, I mean, even if we talk about the Athletics, right? They just got that 7 years, 70 million was
Yeah,
it for
with
Jacob
Jacob
Wilson?
Wilson, yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, were it not for arbitration, you're just never going to see that contract,
No shot.
right? And it's because arbitration kind of plays both ways in the sense of when you're a player, it kind of stinks because you put in your number of what you think you're worth, and if your team doesn't agree, then they're trying to underpay you. But then if you're on the team side, right, you're on that same thing. But also, if you're the team, you don't want that player going to free agency.
No.
So you get a guy like Jacob Wilson, who was not really going to see much money for the next 3 years of his career, and now he's going to be making $7 million annually, and he'll be making that for the next X amount of years of his contract. So he is set up as a player, as a person. Financially, he is set up, and he now has that loyalty to the organization. The organization in the first few years is paying him a lot more than they typically would have, but then they get off on the back end of that contract where they're not paying him as much. So I think arbitration also really helps bring these kind of really unique deals that are unique to baseball to life.
I think you brought up an interesting point about the ugly part of arbitration, too, when you were talking about as a player it could suck because the numbers could be way off. Like, look at the Tigers right now. They got Skubal and them are way off in arbitration. Skubal wants $33 million a year, and the Tigers are offering like $18-19 million.
Yeah.
That court case is coming up in a couple days. Might even be tomorrow. But that's just bad. I mean, that's like they're super undershooting his value. I mean, he's a top 2 arm in the game. If you're a big fan of lefties, he's arguably the best arm over Skeens. He could go either way with that. I think it's a coin flip any given day. But I think it's just there's good and bad to it. The hardest part for me would be like, how would you replace it? I think that you would have to have a concrete system in place to completely slash arbitration. So I think keeping it and maybe reworking it, as we talked about before, could be the best route.
Yeah.
Guys, great debate. Do you guys think the All-Star game should go back to the old system where the winner has a home field advantage
Oh,
for the World Series?
100%. Because look at the NFL now, man. The Pro Bowl used to mean something. Like, they used to hit in that game. Like, it would be on par with making All-Pro and getting AP first team. And now it's like they're playing flag football and throwing balls into little, like, squares or whatever they do, like the 10, 20, 50-yard challenge or whatever. It's not even a competition anymore. And I think that's the fear with baseball's All-Star game. They don't want to lose that model where it's still like a competitive game at the end of the day. Even the NBA's model, it's very boring now. It's kind of just like, let's jog up and down the court and chuck threes and throw lobs up. Like, everyone watches the NBA for the slam dunk contest, and a lot of people do watch the MLB for the home run derby. So I think that's like a big selling point for their All-Star game. But just imagine like you're watching the World Series and you're like, Chase Mydroth from the Chicago White Sox had a go-ahead single in the 9th inning, so that's why the Yankees are hosting the World Series. Like, you have guys that are on terrible teams that get that All-Star bid that might have a chance to impact the World Series. I mean, as a fan, that's really cool to think about, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool, and it was really cool when we had that. I don't necessarily know that that's what's best for the game, in the sense that, playoffs in professional sports are largely, seeding is largely based off merit, unless we're talking about March Madness or the college football playoff, in which case it's arbitrary. But, in these professional leagues, right, it's based off merit. So, imagine you have let's just say, I'm going to put good thoughts out there. Let's just say the Mets right now, right? The Mets in this upcoming 2026 season, they have a magical run. Maybe they make another trade, they get another guy, or just someone breaks out, right? Maybe Carson Bench is just a superstar at the gate. Who knows? They go on a magical run, right? And, they come out with, 103 wins or whatever, and then they make it all the way to the World Series. But because of some game back in, July, all of a sudden now they're playing on the road for 4 games rather than at home for 4 games in the World Series against maybe a 92-win team, hypothetically. I mean, we're just kind of getting crazy here, but I think that there's too many issue cases with that, and very little kind of fun upside about it. It's cool when it happened, when it was one of your guys that got you that upper seeding that you wouldn't have had otherwise. But that's just such a rare use case, and I think that All-Star games just kind of around sports are a really big issue right now, and I think just the incentive behind them is part of the problem. I don't know that that's necessarily the correct incentive, though.
I think here's where I raise you, though. If the Mets hypothetically are an 100-win team, you would say by July they'd have a lot of all-stars on that roster. They'd have maybe 4, 5, 6 guys. And if those guys are in that game and they know if they win for the NL, they're like, yeah, we got aspirations to be hosting up this trophy at the end of October, early November. We got to try and like play our asses off and win this game because we have a really good chance to be playing in October. So it gives those guys more credit to, or more of an effort standpoint. The Dodgers, all their all-stars are going to want to be trying to play to get that three-peat. All guys across the league, if they're on great teams, they're not going to take that game lightly. I think the only concern is obviously injury and workload. Like, it's a 162-game season. You don't necessarily want Ohtani going out there blowing out his arm in the All-Star game to try to make the World Series home field advantage when he's not guaranteed to even make it. But I do think it gives players that more competitive edge. You see guys, Pete Rose, sliding cleats up in the All-Star game when the big red machine was rolling in the 70s because he knew that those guys were going to be there in October. And he's like, we got to win this game so we can be playing in Cincy. So, like, that's kind of where my headspace is at.
Yeah, but I also think that conversely with that, though, in Major League Baseball, every team gets an all-star. So, I mean, who's to say that, you know, let's just say the Tigers or whoever, like, maybe not the Tigers, not a great example, but, like, let's just say maybe Boston next year. Like, let's just say they have one, like, guy who's just slightly above average, right? He gets in the All-Star game as a reserve because it's just easier to slot in, you know, that second baseman who's slightly above average versus like that center fielder who's like the 5th best center fielder, right? And suddenly that guy hits a walk-off home run. And it's like that guy would never have been in the game if his team was not so dog or if he was on a better team, right?
That's what's so cool about it. That's what's awesome.
That's cool,
for it
but like,
to be.
why should that have an end of season effect? Because here's the end of the day, Joey. Right? At the end of the day, we remember champions. We remember World Series champions. We remember great World Series performances. We don't hold the All-Star game in that same level of respect and reverence, right? Like, oh, cool moment in the All-Star game, cool. They'll get a Diamond Dynasty card and that will be the show. You'll get the highlight on YouTube, you know, like every year. But in reality, like it's just not like a memorable moment. It's not like a very important moment in that game's season. In quite literally a game that does not count for anything. I don't know why we should make it count for the biggest part of the season.
Because then it intertwines then. Like, we're in the World Series, it's like, oh, by the way, the Yankees got home field because Roman Anthony hit a walk-off tank in the All-Star game. Like, remember this? Like, this was super dope. And now, because of that, their arch rival gets to have the home field advantage in the World Series. Like, then now it makes it mean something. Right now it means nothing.
But here's the thing. I don't see how that's, like, any different than, say, you know, some random guy comes off the bench in an early August game and gets you a walk-off. It's like it doesn't make any real discernible difference because, yeah, like, it's meaningful at the end of the day, but it's not any cooler of a moment than that one in the All-Star game where it probably wasn't even, you know, a guy that mattered to you that made that difference. So I just think that it comes down to the merit of it, and that's really what these championships are allegedly about, is the merit of the play on the field. And, you know, I don't think that it should be guys that are not on your team that are really forcing these decisions for how your team ends their season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what makes baseball so great, though, because, yes, there's 162 games, but that one guy in August who hit a walk-off single off the bench could change your season. Like, that's why we play the games. Like, if you didn't want the All-Star game to mean anything, then maybe just hash it then. Like, if it means something to get your team to the World Series, that so-and-so random guy hits a walk-off home run, like, that's awesome to think about looking in October. It's like, oh, Edward Quiero or whatever from the White Sox hits a base hit in the gap, and now the White Sox are in the wild card because he did it in the second week of September or the first week of April. It doesn't matter. Like, every game matters, and I think if you have an All-Star game, it should have some sort of weight to it.
So, what's your guys' take on MLB's determining if players go to the World Baseball Classic or not?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, the owners do pay these guys, so they are under contract by the team, so they legally, I guess, have the right to restrict it because they are being employed by one of these 30 franchises, but I think it would suck to see guys not be able to play. We just saw Bellinger come out with a statement. I'm not sure if the Yankees restricted him, but he said won't be playing for Team USA because he wants to really focus for the Yankees in 2026. But it seems like most guys and most teams are pretty lenient with letting their guys go play in it because, I mean, it's an awesome event. I think it's one of the most underrated events in sports, in my opinion. I mean, just the energy these guys come out with representing their countries, it's very on par with the World Cup for soccer, and more than people realize, I think.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on loving the WBC. I think it's I honestly think it's the best sports tournament that we have, frankly. And I mean that with no disrespect to the World Cup and any other professional leagues and anything like that. But I will say I think that it becomes a slippery slope though when you talk about teams restricting guys playing in the WBC, because here's the thing, right? Because it could start as I don't want you playing in the WBC. Then it becomes limiting what they're doing outside of their work. Right? It's becoming, you can't exercise this way, or, you can't play that sport in the off season. And then it becomes, we don't want you doing this, this, and that. And then it becomes, I think that it's a slippery slope that could definitely lead down to some really ugly places in terms of how much of these lives these teams are controlling. Now, there are like some things granted in their contracts that they're not supposed to be doing, obviously, just to ensure, work performance, but
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it becomes like a really slippery slope, and I think we're kind of almost. I think if we start like really getting comfortable with teams allowing that, then we're going to soon become comfortable with teams allowing less and less for these players to do in their off time. I mean, go back to the 1920s, go back 100 years ago when the Yankees had a private investigator following Babe Ruth because he was committing too much infidelity. Like it's ridiculous stuff that we've seen teams do. Granted it was 100 years ago, but I mean it's the Yankees. We still have the Yankees. You know what I mean? It's not that far removed.
No, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, though. These owners are investing $300-400 million out of their bankroll for these guys. So, yeah, I understand a little bit. Maybe the WBC, it's a lot less of a risk. Like, it's during spring training. These guys are getting game reps. I would think it's kind of silly to not let somebody play in it, especially because the stakes are a little bit higher. It gets more competitive juices flowing right before opening day. But in terms of like stuff off the field, as you were mentioning, like if I'm investing $200 million in you, I don't want you doing stupid stuff and getting hurt or doing crazy things like that. But at the same time, you also have to trust that these guys are professionals and probably wouldn't do that, and they would value that they're making that much money and would value the organization and not go down that route. But at the same time, I do see the fear in owners being worried about their guys, because ultimately at the end of the day it's an investment. I mean, it sucks to say, but money makes the world go round. Like, these guys it's the business model for them, and they want to win, but at the same time they want to make sure their assets are okay.
Here's the thing though, is like, yeah, you're paying that guy $200, $300, $400 million, but you're paying that guy $200, $300, $400 million to play baseball. At the end of the day, like it is their job. They are professionals, and and as you said, it's mostly during spring training. So it's when these guys would have been playing baseball for their teams anyways.
It's silly to not let them play.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think that certain use cases, maybe if a guy's like really, really injury prone, like, his arm's falling off the bone kind of a guy.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, I probably wouldn't want that guy playing in the WBC. Like, I as a Mets fan, I don't necessarily want Kodai Senga playing in the WBC because he dealt with injury issues last year. And I love Kodai Senga. He's one of my favorite players to watch play. And I love watching him. I loved watching him pitch for Team Japan a few years back.
Ghost Fork.
Yeah, I mean, he's an electric player. I cannot wait to watch him again. But, like, I'd be, as a fan, I'd be a little nervous he was pitching in the WBC because he had those injury issues last year. But at the same time, I do think that should be his choice to make.
Yeah, I agree. That's where I cut the owner slack, though. Yeah, if you got a guy coming off TJ and he's a little ahead of schedule to pitch in the WBC, like, yeah, I'd be very worried as well. But I do think at the end of the day, if the player's body feels ready, that's like the most authentic game reps I think you're going to get until postseason baseball in terms of energy and what it means. So I think it would be very ludicrous to not let them play in it.
All right, guys, that was a great debate. Thank you, Joe, Joey.
Thanks for having me.
I'm your host, Joseph Sullivan. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
so sour. Birds and stone grew before, but they're all alone. And there's no reason to pick up the phone. I'm tired and I wanna go home. Don't give this up. Put what I like in my cup. Don't know what it is, but I hate orange fit. I don't wanna grow up. I hate growing up. Hold me tight. Said you don't let the bed bugs bite. Fighting makes it hard to sleep at night. I just don't feel right. Put a rock on my head so I can be short again. Oh, please help me down. I'm not supposed to be this high off the ground. I don't wanna grow up. I hate growing up. Stumbling through the door, I see you down the hall, but can't hear you anymore. Mom, please help me. I don't feel right. I just want to sleep through the night. And I know this room isn't mine anymore, and I should probably shut the door. Hold me tight. You said you don't let the bed bugs bite. Fighting makes it hard to sleep at night. I just don't feel right. Don't feel trust is crushing. How's it changing you? Will you hold on for me? Just say you'll be sober for me. I'm so far away now, and even though he's here, he's going through something. It's clear. I left to get away from this, and now it's back, and it's not what I miss. Cops come rushing, trust is crushing. Hope this changes you. Will you hold on for me? Just say you'll be sober for me. And when I get to leave, I hope that it's clear what you couldn't be. I guess you got angry and deny what I say, and I can't do anything. It's rushing through your veins, and I just want you to be. Will you hold on for me? Just say you'll be sober for me. And when I get to leave, I hope that it's clear what you couldn't be. Sober for me. timing is right? Does the fruit feel ripe? If you're hungry, then take a bite. But don't be sad if it doesn't taste right. Our garden nights, longing through takes me to a feeling of escape. Shot thorns and vines, I long for so much more. Does that make me a each stem complements one another? It's raining now, we should take cover. Is this what you like to just take what you want? This garden can be yours too. Is my timing right? Does the fruit feel ripe? If you're hungry, then take a bite. But don't be sad if it doesn't taste right. Our garden nights, longing through takes me to a feeling of escape. Sharp thorns and vines, I long for so much more. Does that make me a whore? Does that make me a whore? Does that make me a
Thank you.